Hey, what's going on there, Dice Rollers? Paul here, and I'll be your DM for a while. Listen, do you struggle with trying to teach others this game? I know I have in the past, but I'm slowly developing a methodology and an order to effectively teach new players how to play Dungeons and Dragons. Everything from character creation to backstory. And today I want to share with you my method. It's not the best method, maybe in the world, but it's my method, and maybe it will help you if you're trying to teach your friends or even strangers how to play Dungeons and Dragons. So I do a lot of learn to plays, both online and at my local game store. And so when people sign up, adults, kids, teenagers, when they do a learn to plays, listen, you're going to get all kinds of people that you want to teach. And so I've had to, for me, develop that methodology of the order in which I do things. And so when new players come in, I was saying that doing a scaled down character sheet was the best way to go, and I've tried that a few times, and I've stopped doing that. I've started just using a traditional sheet, just one sheet though. I don't give them all three because if you understand or know the sheet, you know that there's a backstory sheet and a spell sheet and all that. I just keep it to one sheet, and then we kind of go from there. So I start with a traditional D&D 5e sheet. Now the next thing I do is I share the races they can play. And what I've done with this is I have developed just some cards, just created some cards that are going to help them. And I choose, depending on how many playing, 4 to 5, I choose the most basic races they can choose. So I've created these cards where you can, choose an elf or a human or a dwarf or a halfling. And of course, I would include more in there if need be. But those are races that I think most people can wrap their head around, right? They can say, okay, a human, I clearly know what that is. I know how to play a human. The thing is, when you start giving them things like a tabaxi or a genasi or things like that, there's no point of reference necessarily for that. So I want to help them get into their character as quickly as possible. And all this has all the stats, by the way. All the stats are over here. So as they begin to fill out their sheet, they can start keeping this as a note for that. So they can be able to take those notes and then fill out as they go. The next thing that I have them do is I have them choose their class. And once again, I have cards for that. I try to help them out and say, okay, you can be a druid, which I can easily explain. That's the thing. I can easily explain what a druid is. It's a forest person. They like the forest. I can do that with the ranger as well. A fighter. It's in the title, right? You could be a wizard. Yes, spells. You understand. Harry Potter. You have a point of reference if they don't have anything else to go on. And then a cleric, who is a healer or a priestly type of role. And so I give them these cards and I work with them piece by piece. And normally it will take around 30 minutes. I have them roll up their character versus actually giving them a pre-generated character, because I think there's a difference between people who want to learn how to play Dungeons and Dragons and people who want to play Dungeons and Dragons. And I want to give them the full experience. That if their D&D Beyond goes down, or it leaves or goes away, or their internet goes down, or their phone, they lose their phone and they don't have access to the app to be able to show what their character is. So I make sure they know how to roll up a character, and that way they can be able to do that anytime, regardless. You don't need the internet, because that's how I did it. So I didn't have the internet, right? The next thing that I have them do is I have them roll for their abilities. And as part of rolling for their abilities, I teach them a simple method: roll 4 dice. And there's many options in the player's handbook that you can choose from, right? Standard array of numbers, or you can choose the roll 4 dice, take away the smallest number. And I work through that process. Then I create a little tool right here that is the ability scores modifier, and I hand that to them and say, okay, once you get there. And another reason I do this third is because I want them to be able to start to slowly build layer by layer what their character is going to look like. So if they have a race, they have a class, now they know when they roll these numbers, they go, what kind of what kind of fighter do I want to be? What kind of wizard do I want to be? And of course, the standard ability scores that each of those favors, well, then they can put those in there, or they can choose something else. But I give them this little card to say, here's what you can look at. It's a simple way for them to do that. Now, the next step that I share with them is to choose a background. Now that they've gotten this far, I say, well, what did you used to do before you became an adventurer? And I leave that to their own imagination. Of course, you can give them a card or something like that. I mean, were you a bartender? Were you a city guard? And you can keep a list near you of 5 or 6 things. Like I keep a list. This list that I'm showing you, I keep it right behind my DM screen so that I can share with them and say, okay, I'm going in order. I have my order of things that I want to go through so I don't get ahead of myself and I don't miss anything. And so when we get to the background, now we're going, okay, now we're getting a clearer picture of what this character or who this character is supposed to be. So you choose your background. The next thing is I have them choose their equipment. And I give them, I copied it right out of the Player's Handbook, the equipment guide. And I choose that because I say, okay, you're only going to pick 2 things. Because I give you you can pick a weapon and your armor. Those are the only 2 things I want you to pick right now. Because there's a lot on there. If you go to the other equipment list and then they get into a shopping mode, and that just eats up time. And I don't want them spending their time choosing every little piece of equipment that they need to choose. So to help them along with that, I also give them, I have these cards here that are equipment packs. And these are the standard equipment packs, I believe, that you find within the Player's Handbook as well. And I got these off of Etsy. So these are fun just to hand out. You got an Explorer's pack, everything in there that they need. You have a Dungeoneer's pack, right? You also have Entertainer's pack, if they if they're playing a bard, something like that. So I have cards that are available to help them so they don't have to do a shopping thing. They know what they have. They can look in their pack and they know the things that they can use within the adventure. The next thing that I do is we go ahead and roll for wealth. We roll for their monies. And I do that because when we do go shopping, I want them to have a little ching-ching in their pocket. I want them to have a little something so that they can be able to bribe somebody, buy something they need. So when they do go into town, they can buy the things that they want to buy, and it's going to, give them a sense of security in some way. It says, look, I have money, right? Don't you feel better when you have money in your pocket? Don't you feel like, oh, I got a little something in my pocket. I can go and spend a little bit if I need to. And so I give them that same confidence. As, all right, your character has some resources to be able to use when they need to use it. Now, the next thing I do is we talk about spells. If they are playing a wizard or a sorcerer or something like that. And once again, I chose wizard because it's simpler. They don't have anything else to manage except the spell cards versus, let's say, a sorcerer or a warlock. Sorcerer has to manage their points, and they got to ask questions about that, or got to worry about patrons and things of that nature. And so what I try to do is say, okay, here is, and I keep my cards in sleeves. I also have a book. So in a smaller group, I may have a book of the spells. And I'll say, all right, choose your spells here. Let me open this up here. And from the beginning there, you have the arcane spells. And you have, let me get this out of the way. You have the arcane spells. And I do it by level, so it goes all the way up to first level here. And so they can go through and choose their spells if I'm working with a smaller group of people. If I am working with a larger group of people, I'll say, okay, I have your packs ready for you. So I will choose, let's say, a standard 2 or 3 cantrips and 2 spells, let's say. So I will have that for the, and I'm going to get some different colors for the different spells, for the different, whether arcane or cleric or things like that. But let's say I give a pack of cards like this to be able to say, okay, here is all your cards that you'll need, and then they have something to look at versus trying to go through their book and say, I'm going to pick this spell. Especially, like I said, new people have no idea, but they know how to read a card, and they know that that's what they have. Now, the next step in this is now we can start to choose a name. And I leave that to last because sometimes, when you choose a name, you don't know what you're giving a name to. You don't know what kind of character you have. And now that we have a background and you know what race you're playing, and you know what kind of class you're playing, now the name becomes the cherry on the top, right? Instead of now you have a name and you have to build into that name somehow. So I think the name is a good final step in creating a character, especially for people that are new, because a lot of them, don't know what to name their character, but they might have a better idea once it's kind of fleshed out for them. And that is my process for teaching brand new players how to play Dungeons & Dragons. I'd love to hear from you. What do you use? What tools do you use? Did you see anything that I use that might be helpful to you? Leave me some comments down below. And if you're brand new here to the channel, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for watching today. I would love you to be a part of the community. Go ahead and click that subscribe button down there, and you'll get videos like this in your inbox on a regular basis. And lastly, if you really, really, really like the video, go ahead and click that thumbs up button. It tells me you like it and you want more of them. If you want more Dungeon Master tips and ideas, well, there's a playlist around here somewhere. Go ahead and click on that and watch some of my other videos. But that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for being here today, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.